Years ago, I was living in solitude and going through what shamans call an initiation. I was doing a lot of inner healing that was preparing me to then become a coach and a healer for others. And I remember one day I was struggling. I was really struggling. I was working on heart work. I was doing a lot of heart work having to do with the difficulties that I had had up until then with relationships and intimacy. And I remember that as I was going through this healing work, I felt stuck on this day. I felt like there was a huge weight on top of me, like I was never going to be able to heal this. It felt like I was in the middle of healing this wound and that I wasn't going to be able to get out. It felt like I had so much more work to do before this wound would be healed. So I did what I frequently do when I need to heal something. I put on my hiking shoes and I went outdoors and I just walked around, immersed myself in nature, and then eventually I sat down in meditation, closed my eyes, and I connected with my spirit guides and tried to ask for help. I said, "I need help healing this." As I was waiting for guidance, I sat there in a mind loop. My mind was just complaining about how I was failing at healing this wound. My mind was saying, I've been doing so much work and it feels like I'm at square one. It feels like I can't heal this. Am I supposed to live my whole life with these deep wounds? That doesn't seem fair at all. Fortunately, my whiny inner talk was interrupted by one of my spirit guides. I could feel his energy close and I tapped into what he was saying. He said, "You get stuck sometimes. You're wonderful at going deep into healing and not being afraid of confronting your biggest wounds and traumas, but sometimes you get stuck. Have you ever thought that maybe the wound you seek to heal is already healed and you just haven't noticed? There's a difference between deep healing and languishing." By the time he left, I had received an energy transmission from him, and I now knew exactly what he meant by the word languishing. I was trapped in a common pattern that affects most spiritual people when they're doing healing work. It's called the languisher. This is when I've actually healed something, but my mind and my body are having a hard time catching up to that. But before we get into what the languisher pattern actually is in more detail, let's take a small detour into your spiritual anatomy. Remember that you're made up of two major parts. The first one is your human self. That's the part of you that you can see, your body, flesh and bone. And then there's the second part, the quantum self. This is the part that you can't see with your physical eyes, like your energy system, your aura that surrounds your body, and all of the chakras of your system also. And when you heal, when you do any type of healing work, whether it's a past trauma, something painful that happened to you, or heartbreak, no matter what it is, whatever you are healing, you always heal at these two levels. Your human self and your quantum self heal. But here's a surprising fact about healing. Your quantum self always heals faster. The reason this happens is because the quantum self isn't bound by space-time. It's located outside of the realm of space-time. And so that means that any changes that occur in your aura and your chakras, they are instant because this system, your quantum self, operates outside of the constructs of time. Your physical self is not like that. Your human self isn't like that. It's bound by the time-space reality, which means that it has to obey the linear time. Linear time meaning past, present, and future. So when healing is done on the physical part of you, that healing takes time. It takes more time than it does on the quantum self. So when we're healing anything, the quantum self heals instantaneously almost, and the physical self takes a little bit longer to get there and to catch up to all the healing that the quantum self does. So when you're doing healing work on anything from the past, your mind and body play catch up to the quantum self. It just takes longer for the human self to heal, and we have to keep that in mind. The quantum self is instantaneous, the human self takes longer, and it's just a part of being human, it's just a part of being down there, and it's just a part of the healing work and how healing works down here in this earth realm. One particular part of the human self that takes more time to heal is the brain. So with the brain, brain, you're literally rewiring. The brain has to rewire itself so that it starts to create new thought patterns that are completely different from the thought patterns that were associated with the wound, the unhealed wound that you had. And that takes time. So here's an example from my own healing, how I healed from trauma around relationships. So because I had experienced a lot of heartbreak in the past having to do with relationships, I had an associated internal voice that was associated with this wound that said things like, I didn't deserve better, or that relationships were painful, and that ultimately everyone leaves me. My brain was wired to think these thoughts because of habitual repetition around my trauma and the meaning of it. When I started to do healing work on my heart and lifting all of that trauma from the past, I could feel my quantum self change immediately. I could feel it, I could perceive it. It felt like my energy, like I was happier, I was more excited, my energy had expanded. I felt lighter, I felt like a weight had been lifted from me. But my physical self took longer, and I noticed that too. I still continued to have disempowering thoughts around love and intimacy. My body also had trauma still, where I would react or shy away from any type of intimacy with a potential partner. So I could feel these two different states, the energy of the quantum self and the energy of the physical body, and how they didn't seem to be going hand in hand. And here's the $1 million insight. I got stuck in the languisher pattern because I identified more with the human self than with the quantum self. And that's how you get stuck when you're doing healing work, by getting attached or clinging to or identifying with the human component of who you are and forgetting all about the quantum self. But your quantum self is you too. It's a bigger component of who you are, and it may be a part of you that you can't see very well, but it's still a part of you. So if you identify only with the human self and with all of the stuff that it's going through when it's healing, you're going to feel stuck until you open that perspective up and remember that you have a quantum self too. But here's a challenging question. How do you know when you're languishing? How do you know when you've gone past the healthy healing phase and now you're stuck in this languishing phase where you're just thinking you have so much more to heal, but in fact the major healing has already done? This can be tricky. And the short answer to this is that it's a feeling. When I felt stuck and like I was buried in all of my wounding, my spirit guide came through and kind of shook me out of my stupor a bit. But the truth is, I had already been feeling like something was going on inside of me. There were parts of me that felt really excited, really happy, really light, like I had healed something. And then there was another part of me that felt like it was just had this huge weight, like I was being held down, like I was being trapped. And at the time, I didn't realize that what was going on was I was already tapping into and feeling the two parts of myself, the human self and the quantum self. The quantum self was already healed and going about, and my human self was still a little bit stuck and going through the healing a bit slower. And I was feeling these two parts of me, these two selves, and I was feeling it very, very clearly, but I was kind of holding on to the human self a little bit more than holding on to the quantum self. So the quantum part was saying, yay, like the wound is healed, we're doing great. And the human part was still stuck a little bit in those old wiring and the old patterns and in the wounding. And the more that my consciousness, the more that I focused on the human self, on the wounded aspect, or the part of me, the human part of me that was still healing, the more that I focused on that, the slower the embodiment work went. From an energy perspective, this makes perfect sense. Whatever I channel my attention to or my awareness to, that energy will grow, that energy will expand. And if I'm focused or stuck on the fact that maybe I haven't healed, I still have so much work to do, if I'm stuck on that energy, I'm just perpetuating the wound instead of helping it heal. Our brains function a lot through rewiring, and so I have to be very, very meticulous about diverting my attention to something new so that the brain then starts to rewire towards those new thought patterns. If I keep practicing the same thought patterns, I'm just going to keep reinforcing the same neural network, meaning that my brain, my mind, will just continue to think the same thoughts that it's always thought. I have to be aware to divert my attention in order for new thought patterns to grow. and new neural circuitry to be laid down with this new thought pattern or this new thinking habit. All right, that's how the brain works. You have to be very meticulous about diverting your attention and knowing how to focus on the new versus the old. So the more I focus on the wound, what I'm really doing is I'm reinforcing the old patterns and wounds that I'm trying to heal. So instead of healing them, I'm actually reinforcing them by getting stuck or giving too much attention to those patterns as they are healing. So my quantum self is saying, yay, I'm healed and free. But my human self may be repeating old patterns just out of habit and saying, I'm never going to heal this. I have so much more work to do. Boo hoo hoo. So how do you get out of this languisher pattern? I have 3 simple steps to get you out of this quickly. Step number 1 is to face the wound. Okay, so this step is really important. This is when you just become aware and you courageously face the wound and intend to heal it. You're not bypassing your healing here. You're not jumping over this first step. This first step is absolutely crucial. You have to become aware of the wounds that you have and have the courage to intend to heal them. You can't be skirmishly moving around wounds and not wanting to see them because you can't start the healing process until you do. This step of just facing your wound and intending to heal it, intention is so powerful. This first step is about 85% of the healing, I like to say. It's really powerful because the moment you shine the light of your awareness onto a wound, it's already almost, the healing is almost complete. It's a huge part of the healing work. So this first step is really important. This is an important first step. You can't get to the other steps without starting with this one. Face the wound and intend to heal it. Step 2, do the work. Okay, so now that I have become aware of the wound, I'm facing it and I'm intending to heal it, now I'm going to focus on the more action-oriented part of healing, which is I'm going to do healing work in any way that resonates with me. And maybe this is through working with helpers or coaches. Maybe it's seeing healers like shamans or self-healing through books and videos. I could do maybe body movement like dancing or meditation or even praying or talking to your guides. Whatever modality you feel pulled to use that modality or maybe use multiple at the same time to really do the work of getting to the healing and getting that energy moving and that energy lifted. Step number 3 is to reach for quantum. Okay, so this is when you are now going to start to move your awareness into the quantum state, into the quantum part of you, which is already healed. And you can do this by doing a very easy check-in. So you can just sit in meditation, close your eyes, and put your hand on your heart. And just slowly give yourself some time, maybe a couple of minutes, maybe a few minutes of just tapping into your heart and putting your hands on your heart, having your eyes closed, focusing on your breathing. And then you're going to shift your awareness to the energy field that surrounds your body. And you can visualize this energy field. It's a few inches off of your skin. And you can visualize this energy field like a field that is wrapped around your body, a few inches above, hovering above your skin. And then you're just going to visualize this energy field glowing. The more that you visualize this energy field glowing, the more you're going to be tapping into what's known as the quantum self. Once you start connecting with your quantum self, you're going to start feeling that part of you that is already healed. The more that you hold your awareness on the quantum self, you will see yourself healed. This is really important. To see yourself healed already, to tap in to that quantum self means that you're already seeing yourself healed, and the more that you focus your attention on this healed state of yours, the more the embodiment work will go faster in the human components of who you are. So your mind and your body will follow a lot more quickly the more you focus your attention and you see yourself already healed. Speaking of healing, check out this video here where you'll discover one of the hardest wounds to heal and that you probably have it without knowing, and how to get rid of it once and for all.